Good afternoon, Packers fans. Aaron Nagler here with your Packers Daily Chat, coming to you live on the Cheesehead TV social channels. It is Thursday. We are a few days away from the showdown with the Seahawks, and one Jaire Alexander has now practiced in full 2 days in a row. Very exciting times, very heady times. And of course, without fail, we got folks in mentions, we got folks in comment sections saying, well, then he'll stub a pinky toe and he'll be out. I've never seen so much disrespect for a truly great football player as what I see when it comes to Jaire Alexander. And I understand it's frustrating. I understand the fact that he's on the field and he's off the field, and he's off the field for a good long while. Fans get frustrated. But this defense is a completely different beast when he is on the field, and he is set to be on the field for this game on Sunday night. At least that's the direction he is trending. Now, who knows? Maybe something happens. Maybe the medical team steps in at some point and he's unable to go. But right now, I'm feeling pretty damn excited for the prospects of getting to see Jaire Alexander back out on the football field playing football for my favorite team. They are a different beast when he is out there contributing. You do not have to look much further than how the defense has had to play in his absence. I mean, just watch Jeff Hafley taking questions about so much being open over the middle of the field while teams know, okay, they're playing a variation of some shell coverage, whether it's cover 2, cover 3, etc. Lots of stuff being available underneath against the linebacking group, specifically in holes in the zone, etc. But, man, when Jaire's available and he's back out there, you're going to see a different approach. And not necessarily like, quote unquote, more aggressive, not going to be blitzing all the time, putting them in man coverage all the time. It's not going to be that extreme. But you will see a big, big difference. See, this is what I can't handle. Jaire's getting paid a lot. He's washed. Okay, just say you don't know ball and go on with your day. It's fine. He is getting paid a lot. There's no doubt about it. You know why he gets paid a lot? Because he's really fucking good when he plays the game of football. This is what I don't get. This is the problem with a lot of modern sports fandom, is you're looking at contracts instead of the actual play on the field. I'm begging you to watch him play when he gets back out there and see the difference, because it's coming. And I, for one, cannot wait. Let's go. What's going on, folks? Lots of people chiming in already. Good to see you all. Before we get going, you guys know I got to give a shout out to our good friends over at Prize Picks. That's right. Prize Picks is daily fantasy sports made easy. You just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Go to prizepicks.com, use code CHTV. Spend $5 on lineups and get $50 instantly. Prize Picks is available in 43 different states, most importantly, including Wisconsin. Get on board, hop on board, get your lineups in for tonight's Thursday night matchup, 49ers versus the Rams. The Rams playing some sneaky good football lately, and I tell you what, Packers fans, you probably should be paying attention to the Rams a little bit, because there's a possibility that they could be in the mix when the playoffs come around. And it'll be fascinating to track both of these teams, how they're trending with the big date with the Seahawks, another NFC West opponent, the only NFC West opponent the Packers have not beaten. Gone 3-0 against the division so far this season. Big test on Sunday night. Got to think the Seahawks are going to be jazzed up for this one. They have not played a ton of primetime games, unlike the Packers, who I believe this is their 3rd in a row. Yeah, I think Seahawks, their fans, that whole building, it's going to be buzzing. It's going to be an electric atmosphere, and it should be a bit of a good proving ground for the hope for potential run to and through the playoffs. You got to think it's going to be a playoff-like atmosphere. So really looking forward to that. And, of course, looking forward to watching the game with Donald Driver. That's right. You heard it on Transplants last night. We posted about it this morning on Cheesehead TV. I am going to be in Milwaukee with Corey watching the game with Donald Driver for the first quarter. It is a big event that he is hosting for the Donald Driver Foundation, among other things. Been talking to Donald's folks for a while now, and finally found a way that we could work together. Very exciting. And my biggest kind of obvious nerd side of it is I can't believe I'm going to get to watch football with Donald Driver. But on the tip of being able to help him and what he does in the community, he just did if those of you in the area probably know, just participated in the annual turkey trot. Does that each and every year. He's got a number of other events and appearances coming up, which we will highlight on the stream. But throughout the game, the entirety of the game, he'll be on camera with us just for the first quarter. But for the entirety of the football game on Sunday, any donations to the Donald Driver Foundation will be matched by Donald himself. So that's a guy putting his money where his mouth is. Really love what he's doing in the community. Even after all this time, he's been retired for a while now, still very involved with the community where he lives, Packers fans, the state of Wisconsin. Big Donald Driver fan, as you can tell. So really geeking out about that. Really excited to watch this game with him and with all of you, hopefully here on the watch party. Hope you'll join us on Sunday night. It's going to be a lot of fun. What's going on? Comment section. I'm sure there's lots of zingers in here. What's up, Rai? Thanks for the super chat. How would LaFleur attack Hafley's scheme? I think he'd try to run the ball, even though Hafley's crew has been doing a much better job. Now, if Hafley doesn't have Jaire, I think you'd see a lot of Tucker Kraft. I think you'd see a lot of running coverage off and working underneath with either Tucker Kraft or Josh Jacobs, things of that ilk. But I also think, first and foremost, especially with this crew, he would run the ball. And no matter if he was only getting 3 or 4 yards of carry, he'd definitely be sticking with it. Klaus, how are you, sir? Greetings from the other side of the world. Should the offense / play calling get more aggressive, not just on third down, but all over? Go Pack, go. That's an interesting question after a game where they came out trying to be aggressive and it really set them back and they spent the entire game trying to catch back up. I don't know, man. I never think it's quote unquote more aggressive is the answer. I do think as a coach, you're somewhat damned if you do, damned if you don't. When you're going for it on fourth downs and you don't get it, or you go for a touchdown rather than settle for the field goal and that doesn't work out for you, well, you're going to get killed, right? But then when you go, somewhat quote unquote conservative and you take that field goal or you punt away, and then everyone decries how conservative you are. And it's just, you're really, as a coach and a decision maker, etc., you're really in a bit of a no-win situation. Now, I will say throughout his tenure in Green Bay, starting from 2019 on, LaFleur has been, I would say, on the right side of this thing as far as going forward on fourth down when he should. Definitely kind of pushing the envelope at times when it gets down there in the red zone, fourth down. Okay, let's try and punch it in for a touchdown rather than settle for the field goal. I know there are some folks talking about how he needs to be a bit more aggressive this year, both in play calling and decision making. I really don't have an issue with it. Like I said, if you're a coach, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, because there's going to be people upset at you no matter what you do. And there's no one on this earth who knows his team better than LaFleur. I'm going to sit here on game day and second guess him till the cows come home, so to speak, because that's what fans do, right? You're in the mode of the game. You're frustrated or you want it. You want him to be aggressive. You want him to go for it, etc. But man, you sit back and throughout the week, you can look at the game and go, okay, I get it. I get what he was doing. I get what he was thinking. Like, I'm never going to sit here. He needs to be more aggressive. I just don't think, especially some kind of catch-all phrase like that, I don't really think that's apt, if that makes sense. Rob, thanks for being a Care of the G Club member. Too many fans look at players' contracts and act like coming out of their own bank account. I mean, look, I don't mean to completely dismiss the idea that fans, especially Packers fans, because of the obsession we have with this team, right? Of course, people are going to look at the salary cap and how it fits together contract-wise and things of that nature. It's just, to me, that's an off-season activity. Like, in season, I want to watch football and I want to watch football players, and I don't really care what their salaries are or how they fit cap-wise. Like, that is stuff that will be talked about and dissected and worked through all offseason, which, by the way, is the longest offseason in pro sports. There's plenty of times to talk about contracts and cap hits and all that nonsense. In football season, I want to talk about football. Now, that's just me. I know there's a guy on She Said TV who comments every time I talk like this and is just like, well, you just are clearly not really comprehensive in your coverage. And yeah, you're right. I'm not. I'm a fan, and that's how I approach the game of football. And that's how I work, and if it's not how you work, that's cool. But to me, it's like people have real trouble divorcing what they're watching, even during a game. Forget about during the week when they're going back and watching it. Like during the game, people complaining about a cap hit or what a guy's getting paid. Man, that shit is so far from my mind when I'm watching football. And I guess, especially in this modern age, I guess I'm in the minority there. Craig, what's up, man? Will the super chats go to his foundation? Craig, they will not. Super chats will be going directly to Cheesehead TV. We got bills to pay, but there will be a link in the description of the video, and it's there right now, actually, on Sunday, where you can donate to the Donald Driver Foundation directly. And like I said, he will match every single donation. Jocelyn, how are you? Thanks for the super chat. Kenny is the OG Toyotathon merchant. He's come on strong during the stretch run ever since his rookie season. Random Packer, Cledius Hunt. Jocelyn, that is very astute, and you are correct. It has been, we talked about this on Transplants last night a little bit. That has kind of been his MO throughout his career. He always seems to really take it up a notch and turn it on when the leaves start to turn, especially when it turns cold and you get to December. Kenny always has played his best ball, and it certainly looks like it's trending that way again. I get it, man. Again, these people who look at contracts, they re-sign Kenny. And he was not a dynamic force, let's say that, right, out of the gate this season. But, man, he has been playing really good ball since the bye week, and I thought he had his best game of the year in Detroit. And hopefully that trend, again, continues through December because they need him. Dustin, how are you, man? I'll be in the rain in Seattle Sunday. Think the rain hinders Ja's return. We'll be donating to the foundation Sunday. Oh, thank you, Dustin. Appreciate you. And Donald appreciates it. I do get this question quite a bit when there's inclement weather. Man, that is entirely on the medical staff. My, layman's kind of reading of it would be it shouldn't, but they're the experts, right? We'll see. There's a possibility, right? If it's deemed too dangerous or slick or whatever, but at some point, I mean, it's a joint sprain that he's been dealing with, and if the joint is back to being right, it should be able to move correctly, however he wants it to, in whatever conditions. That would be, again, my layman's thinking, but we'll see. The medical staff will make that call. Craig Brockmiller, what's up, man? What is the one weakness Green Bay can exploit on Seattle? Same question for them against Green Bay. Ooh, that is a good question. I mean, a lot's been talked about, and I mean a lot has been talked about regarding their struggles in pass protection. Now, they are coming off a game. Actually, I think Geno's coming off 2 games where he hasn't thrown a pick, and he had been throwing quite a few, but he hasn't thrown a pick in 2 games. And I think, if I remember right, I think they kept him clean against Arizona. And obviously a big part of that was they were able to run the football a lot and well. But if there is one knock on this team, a consistent knock throughout this season, it's been their offensive line not really holding up very well in pass protection, especially when they've gotten into obvious passing situations, which is why they want to run the ball the way they have, get, ahead of the sticks, get them out of those obvious passing situations. But it's a weird dichotomy in Seattle because Geno's strength is getting back there, 5-7-step drops, pushing the ball down the field. He's really good at it. And he's got 3 great receivers to go downfield too. It's just he's got to be able to give him the time, and that's where they've struggled. So I do think that's an area where Halfley can probably make some hay. Maybe not with this 4-man rush, as we've seen. That has been an issue all season for Green Bay. But I do believe this is a game where some of the simulated pressure looks that we saw work so successfully against Tennessee, against the Texans, I think this is a game where some of that is going to get employed and be as the opportunity to be successful if and when the Packers can get them into obvious passing situations. Now, on the flip side, I would have said, I would have said probably the middle of the field because the last 2 games in particular, the Packers have really struggled to cover the middle of the field on defense. However, I think with the potential of Jaire's return, and more importantly in this regard, Edgerrin Cooper could be back out there. He's practicing this week. Although you never know how close these guys are. They keep it all buttoned up. But if Cooper can go, that should help mitigate some of that. And that would bring me back to almost kind of the same thing we were talking about Green Bay and Seattle. I think McDonald, the first-year coach for the Seahawks, has done some really good work in just exactly what we were talking about with Hafley as far as simulated pressures, really taking advantage of keys and rules that maybe mess with your pass protection. And we're coming off a game in Detroit where we saw the Packers really struggle out of the gate with some of their pass protection rules, struggled on the road as far as their cadence goes, and Detroit really being able to take advantage of it. Well, here they are Sunday night in a building that is notorious for being incredibly loud and difficult for offenses to operate. I think there's something there for Seattle to take advantage of. Now, maybe Matt and company switch it up a little bit, and maybe that they're able to stay ahead of that game. But yeah, just looking at the last game in Detroit and some of the issues that they had, and you marry that with what Seattle does well on defense, that could be an issue. That could potentially be an issue on Sunday, no doubt. Ed, how are you, man? Thanks for the super chat. Does Matt LaFleur watch this show live, or does he have staff check it out and get back to him? Ed, you're joking, but I will say it is interesting how when I say or tweet something negative about Matt, he hears about it. And I know he hears about it because other people tell me he's heard about it or he doesn't appreciate that or whatever. But whenever I praise him, none of that gets back to him. So whoever it is, because I know it's not Matt. I know Matt's not watching this, but whoever it is who watches this or reads my tweets and scurries back to LaFleur and says, well, he was very frustrated with your approach here. I'm also out here stumping for him to be coach of the year at times, and you never talk about that with the man. Go into his office and tell him that. All right, my tongue is somewhat in my cheek here, but also there's a little grain of truth in every joke. That's all I'm saying. Peter, how are you, man? Thanks for the super chat. How has Geno turned around his career? It's a great question. I think a much longer developed answer than I can probably ever give here. But I will say he is a great testament to a guy with lots of talent and lots of upside being thrown into a terrible situation as he was with the Jets. And why I always talk about it during draft season about how we can talk about all the measurables and what they did production-wise and all that stuff that they do in college. But if they land in the wrong spot, they being really any player, but especially quarterbacks, man, it's an uphill battle. It's an uphill battle. And I do think Geno clearly benefited from a new situation, a new change of scenery, as the saying goes. But he used a lot of the accumulated knowledge, a lot of the reps that he did bank while with the Jets, and he got into a much healthier situation while having, a bunch of playing experience. And I think that's really helped him because he's always had the tools. They've been there. That's what got him drafted, high in the first place. But I do think it's a testament to him, his work ethic, the work he's put in. Because, man, he is fun to watch now. I mean, he was hard to watch in New York with the Jets. He is fun to watch with Seattle, except on Sunday night against the Packers. Ayahuasca. Thanks for the super chat. First live I've caught in a long time. Just an appreciation post for the excellent work. Go Pack Go. That is incredibly kind. I was going to say, I haven't seen you in a while. Thanks for dropping in. Appreciate you. Thomas, thanks for the super chat. Very few carry the G like driver. Pump for you, Nags. Finally tried carry the G. Smooth and easy drinking. Perfect for a game. Random Packer, Travis Jervey. I am Travis Jervey. Man, that's what I need to do, a watch party with Travis Jervey. Then my life will be complete. Truly. Man, that would be amazing. But I'm glad you've tried it. Appreciate you trying the beer. I appreciate everybody who's tried the beer. We're approaching the home stretch of the season here, folks. So you're going to want to get out there and stock up because, you blink and that stuff's all going to be gone off the shelves. You're not going to be able to get it again until, I was going to say next season, but let's be honest, we'll probably come out with some new stuff for the draft. But get yourself some Carry the G. It's out there. Jason, thanks for the super chat. I know it happened 10 years ago, but my memory of that championship game can't go away. We will dominate the Sea Hags on Sunday and lock up a playoff berth. Well, Jason, I'd like to share your confidence in that last part, but for the Packers to clinch a playoff berth on Sunday, they need, I believe, a tie to happen tonight with the 49ers. So I don't think that's going to happen. But hey, keep hope alive, right? We shall see. As far as the NFC Championship game. We don't talk about that here. Matthew, how are you, man? Nags, I always said you are clearly not comprehensive in your coverage. Jokes, brother. Thanks for everything you do. Chelsea smashed it tonight. Also, buddy, really appreciate you over the pond. Oh, Matthew, I appreciate you. I did see updates from the Chelsea match. I didn't watch it live. Crazy that they traveled so far for that match, but everything Chelsea's doing at the moment is looking good, no doubt. Jar Winter, thanks for the super chat. Jaire, Cooper, and Evan Williams equals top 5 unit in the NFL. Woo, baby. I mean, they've looked decent when all those guys are on the field. I'll agree with you there. Mark Miles, thank you for the super sticker. Dustin, thanks again. How will you divide the home for the Saints game? I believe you mean the Saints game. Yeah, Sarah and I have really just decided not to talk about it. You know, it was fun for a while because her family was teasing that they were going to come up here and we were going to have like a GoPro or something in the living room while I was doing watch party in here with Corey. Every time the Packers would have like a big play against the Saints, we would cut to them in the living room. But now that, the Packers are on their trajectory and the Saints are, doing what they do. Although the Saints have won some games, but now their quarterback's hurt. She doesn't want to talk about it anymore, which is kind of funny. Nicholas, what's up, man? This is a great super chat. Packers are frauds because they are much better than they have performed. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, man. I get that. What it really feels like frustration, right? I mean, it's funny to call a team that is 9-4 frauds, but I hear what you're saying. You came into the season with a lot of hope that they were going to go on a Super Bowl run. They were going to be contenders. And now you've watched as they've really kind of butted their head against the ceiling of the league, which is the 3 probably best teams in the league in the Eagles, Vikings, and Lions. They've beaten everybody else, So I feel that frustration, man. I get it. But this is something Corey and I talked about on Transplants last night, which I highly encourage you check out for this very subject. As far as where the Packers are as a franchise and in their roster construction and assembling a core of a unit that will hopefully grow into a championship team. I think they're still ahead of schedule, but I agree with you that it's been frustrating coming into the season. It did feel like they'd be a bit better than they have been. Now they've dealt with a lot. Their quarterback has been injured. They've dealt with injuries everywhere, but everyone does, right? And they've certainly not been as good as you would have hoped they'd be in certain areas, i.e. pass rush. They've been better at taking the ball away than I think many people expected. But, there's some balance there. So I get it, man. I don't necessarily agree, but I understand that sentiment. I get what you're saying. What else we got? I don't want to miss any super chats. People get so mad. What else we got here? Mark, how are you, man? What's up, brother? What do the Packers need to improve? I think you mean improve on the most to bridge the gap between the Packers and the Lions by playoff time. They got to play much cleaner ball. I think that's a real kind of key to playing the Lions in particular. Drops, penalties, especially pre-snap stuff. Got to clean all that up, man. If they play a clean game, they can beat anybody, but they are so challenged to play a clean game. I mean, it's almost every week. They've been better since the bye week. Of that, there is zero doubt. But even in Detroit, you still saw the drop pass by Reed. You saw pre-snap penalty from Elton Jenkins, your veteran offensive lineman. You got to clean it up. You got to play a much cleaner game, especially in those types of games against the best teams in the league. It's going to bite you. Matthew, what's up, man? More dangerous, Rams or 49ers if we meet in the playoffs? That's a really good question. I mean, I would suspect the Rams only because the 49ers have been so beat up, but they certainly looked better with Purdy back in the fold last week. Ask me again in 2 weeks. Gabe, thanks again, man. With the salary cap always going up every year, will there ever be a time that the Packers can't compete with other teams that have bigger pockets? Well, no, Gabe. I mean, that's the whole point of the salary cap, is that those other teams you're talking about can't, spend over a certain amount. Now, will there be, I don't know, teams that can offer certain lifestyles or things outside of the game of football, i.e. in cities or what have you, that the Packers can't? Yeah, of course, but that's nothing new. That's been the same forever, and that's why sometimes you talk about the types of guys the Packers select or bring into their program. They want guys who aren't really interested in a lot of that. But as far as like the financials of the league and things of that nature, no, that's not happening anytime soon. Callum says, where has Reed been? Well, on a milk carton. No, we talked about this a little bit. I did a short on it on the YouTube channel that you should check out. There's no doubt that it's frustrating as fans, and I've got to think for Reed as well, when he's not getting involved in the offense. But the thing is, you look at that game in Detroit, and they have 44 snaps of the football. It's hard to get anybody involved. And he did have a couple of targets. One, there's a pass interference call. The other that he drops. There was another that was specifically called for him, but he just kind of got lost in the wash. It's hard to say with any certainty, but, you know, Matt LaFleur knows he's got to get the ball into Jaden Reed's hands. He's one of his best playmakers, but you got to convert on third downs to get more opportunities, longer drives. You're able to start throwing the ball to more people, you know, but when you're only snapping it 44 times, hard to do that. You know, those possessions become precious and those snaps become precious. So I think we'll see Reed get the ball more going forward. But yeah, Thursday night was very frustrating in that regard. No question about it. All right, everybody, I'm going to have to get going. Oh, wait, first I got to get Kyle before I head out. Kyle, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you, man. I'm a Wisconsin native and a Packer fan living in Seattle. If anyone is coming to visit and has questions, needs anything, or wants to meet up before the game, let me know. Can't wait to watch the Pack in person again. Go Pack, go. Kyle, that's incredibly kind. Yeah, hit up Kyle here in the chat or in the comment section after we're done live. Kyle, really appreciate that offer. That's really kind of you. This is, I think, exemplary Packers fandom right here. I mean, laid bare. That is awesome. Kyle, thank you so much, man. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I'll be back tomorrow to wrap up the week and get ready for the big game on Sunday. I fly out on Saturday morning, and then I'll see you on the stream on Sunday night. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks a lot, everybody. Please do me a monster favor. Hit like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and then tell your friends and tell your family. Cheesehead TV. We are devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great night. Go Pack, go.